Parker Schnabel's life is in serious danger after something terrible shook his world. The Gold Rush star has faced countless risks, but this time, the stakes are higher than ever. Known for his fearless attitude and smart decisions, Parker always seemed to overcome every obstacle. Will Parker survive this life-threatening situation? Let's dive deep into the matter and uncover some hidden information the showrunner doesn't want anyone to know. When everything went wrong. Recently, Parker's gold mining career took a harrowing turn. What was once just another day on the job quickly spiraled into a nightmare. For the first time in his life, Parker faced a situation that wasn't just about gold or profit. It was about survival. Something went terribly wrong, and suddenly, the fearless gold miner found himself in a battle for his life. Before we dive into the shocking details, it's clear this incident is far more dangerous than anyone could have imagined, and what happened next will leave you absolutely stunned. This piece delves into the details of the near-tragic event that almost cost Parker Schnabel everything, how it unfolded, and what it means for his future. We will also look back on the long, often dangerous path that brought Parker to where he is today, shedding light on how the recent accident has changed him forever. Parker Schnabel's story begins in the rugged, remote wilderness of Haines, Alaska. Born on July 22, 1994, Parker grew up surrounded by the beauty and harshness of the Alaskan landscape. His family had deep roots in the world of gold mining. His grandfather, John Schnabel, was a well-known gold miner who owned the Big Nugget mine, and from a young age, Parker was inspired by his grandfather's stories and work. While other kids might have been playing video games or hanging out with friends, Parker spent much of his childhood on mining sites, learning the ropes. He admired his grandfather's work ethic and passion for gold mining, and by the time Parker was a teenager, he was already hooked. His fascination with the industry and his desire to prove himself led him to take on more and more responsibility. At just 16 years old, Parker was already leading a mining crew, and he didn't waste any time showing the world what he was made of. Despite his age, he proved to be a natural leader. His ability to handle pressure, make smart decisions, and stay focused on his goals set him apart. He wasn't just another kid playing around with heavy machinery. He was a serious contender in the world of gold mining, earning respect from those around him. Parker's breakout moment came when he joined the cast of Gold Rush, the reality TV show that follows miners as they dig for gold in some of the most treacherous and unpredictable environments on the planet. Viewers were instantly captivated by his determination and drive, as well as his willingness to take big risks in pursuit of even bigger rewards. But while Parker was ambitious and driven, gold mining is a profession fraught with danger, and he quickly learned that it wasn't always going to be easy. Over the years, fans have watched Parker grow from an eager teenager to a veteran miner. He has faced enormous challenges, from mechanical failures to brutal weather conditions, and even the loss of his beloved grandfather. But no matter what obstacles came his way, Parker always found a way to push through and come out on top. His grit and determination became the hallmark of his mining career, and he consistently set higher goals for himself each season. However, while Parker may have developed a reputation for being fearless, even the most experienced miners can be caught off guard by the unpredictable dangers that lurk in the world of gold mining. This season, those dangers came crashing down in the form of a catastrophic incident that changed everything for Parker Schnabel. The life of a gold miner is never predictable. Each season, the stakes seem to get higher, and the risks become more daunting. In recent years, Parker Schnabel has taken on more ambitious goals than ever before, determined to expand his operations and claim even more gold from the earth. But with that ambition comes an increased level of danger. The latest season of Gold Rush was shaping up to be one of Parker's most intense yet. Not only was he facing fierce competition from other miners, but he was also battling the unpredictable elements of the wild terrain. Parker had set his sights on new ground, but this land was particularly challenging. The remoteness of the site, combined with the harsh weather conditions, made every day a battle. It was a perfect storm of obstacles, and Parker's determination to succeed was put to the ultimate test. Parker's near miss left him shaken, but the tough times ahead would push him even harder. Trapped in deadly collapse. From the very beginning of the season, Parker's stress levels were noticeably higher than in previous years. He was managing multiple crews, dealing with heavy machinery that was constantly at risk of breaking down, and racing against the clock to meet his lofty production goals. His workdays stretched into long, exhausting hours, and the constant pressure was beginning to take a toll on his mental and physical well-being. But in typical Parker fashion, he refused to back down. He was determined to prove that he could overcome any obstacle, no matter how difficult or dangerous. But while Parker's drive and ambition have always been his greatest strengths, they may have also been his downfall. As the season wore on, it became clear that the conditions were becoming increasingly hazardous. The ground was unstable, the weather unpredictable, and the equipment strained from constant use. For Parker, the risks were nothing new, but this season felt different. It was as though everything was teetering on the edge. And then, without warning, disaster struck. It was a day that started out like any other for Parker Schnabel and his crew. They were hard at work on a new section of the mining site, focusing on extracting a promising vein of gold-rich ground. The weather had been rough in the days leading up to this, with heavy rains making the terrain even more difficult to navigate. But despite the challenges, Parker was confident that they were on the verge of hitting a major payday. The crew was spread out across the site, operating their massive machines, digging, and moving dirt. Parker was overseeing the operation, as he always does, ensuring that everything was running smoothly. But then, without any warning, disaster struck. A large section of the ground they were working on suddenly collapsed. The heavy rains had weakened the foundation, and in an instant, the terrain gave way. The collapse created a dangerous situation, trapping several members of the crew, including Parker, in an area that was rapidly becoming a death trap. The noise was deafening, the sound of machinery being crushed under the weight of the falling earth, the shouting of crew members scrambling to escape, and the rumble of the ground shifting beneath them. Parker found himself in a life-threatening situation. His vehicle had been hit by the collapse, causing it to flip and become partially buried. For a brief, terrifying moment, Parker was trapped, unable to move as the ground continued to give way around him. The dust and debris in the air made it hard to see, and the panic that spread through the crew was palpable. They knew they had to act fast if they were going to save Parker and the others. Rescue efforts began immediately, but the situation was far from simple. The collapse had created an unstable environment, and any wrong move could trigger more landslides. The crew had to work carefully, balancing the need to rescue their friends with the risk of making the situation worse. Every second felt like an eternity as they worked against the clock, knowing that any delay could mean the difference between life and death. 4 hours, Parker Schnabel and his crew were trapped in the wreckage, their fate uncertain. The rescue team had to proceed with extreme caution, navigating the treacherous terrain and ensuring that they didn't cause any additional collapses. The conditions were unstable, and the tension on site was overwhelming. Everyone knew that Parker's life hung in the balance. Finally, after what seemed like an eternity, the rescue team was able to reach Parker. Miraculously, he was alive. Despite the terrifying ordeal, Parker had managed to survive the collapse, but not without sustaining injuries. He had broken several ribs and suffered a concussion, injuries that, while not life-threatening, were serious enough to require immediate medical attention. As Parker was pulled from the wreckage, the relief on the faces of his crew was evident. They had come dangerously close to losing their leader, and the emotional toll of the incident was clear. For a man who had spent his entire career pushing the boundaries and taking risks, this was a sobering moment. Parker had come face to face with death, and it was a reality that shook him to his core. Even though Parker survived, what happened that day would stay with him in ways no one expected. The psychological impact. Parker's long fight to heal. The crew quickly transported Parker to the nearest hospital, where doctors treated his injuries. Though his physical wounds would heal in time, the psychological impact of the incident was another story. Parker had always been known for his calm under pressure and his ability to handle even the most dangerous situations with ease. But this time, things were different. This time, the danger had almost claimed his life. After the terrifying ordeal, Parker Schnabel found himself in an unfamiliar position, recovering in a hospital bed, reflecting on the fragility of life. The close call had left him shaken, and while he was grateful to have survived, the experience forced him to re-evaluate his approach to mining and the risks he had been taking. In the days following the incident, Parker spoke candidly about how the collapse had affected him. "I've faced danger before," he admitted, "but this was different. This was life or death. It makes you stop and think about what really matters." For Parker, who had always prided himself on his work ethic and his ability to push through even the toughest challenges, the incident was a wake-up call. He realized that he had been taking too many risks, pushing himself and his crew to the limit in pursuit of gold. While he had always been aware of the dangers of mining, The collapse had driven home just how unpredictable and unforgiving the environment could be. As he began his recovery, Parker found himself grappling with the weight of responsibility, not just for his own safety, but for the safety of his crew. "These guys are like family to me," he said. Seeing how scared they were during the collapse, knowing that I could have lost them, it hit me hard. Parker also acknowledged that the incident had made him rethink some of his decisions. "I've always been focused on the end goal, getting as much gold as possible. But after what happened, I realized that I need to be more careful. I can't keep pushing myself and my crew to the brink without considering the risks." Despite the physical and emotional toll of the incident, Parker was determined to get back on his feet. His recovery was slow but steady, and he made it clear that he wouldn't let the accident keep him from doing what he loved. However, he also hinted that moving forward, he would be more cautious and thoughtful in his approach to mining. "I love this job," he said, "but nothing is worth risking my life or the lives of my crew." The future. In the aftermath of the near-fatal collapse, fans of Gold Rush were left wondering what the future holds for Parker Schnabel. Would he continue to push himself and his crew to the limits, or would this close call inspire him to take a step back and reassess his priorities? Parker himself has been open about the fact that the incident has caused him to rethink his approach. While he remains passionate about gold mining, he has acknowledged that the risks are higher than ever before, and that he needs to be smarter about how he handles those risks. "I can't keep pushing myself the way I have been," he said. "I need to find a balance between chasing my goals and keeping everyone safe." But for those who know Parker, it's hard to imagine him stepping back entirely. Gold mining is in his blood. It's what drives him, what excites him, and what gives him purpose. While the collapse may have made him more cautious, it's unlikely that he will abandon his mining career altogether. Instead, Parker is likely to find new ways to pursue his passion while taking a more measured approach to the dangers that come with it. As Parker recovers and plans for the future, the Gold Rush community will be watching closely to see how he moves forward. His near-death experience has sparked important conversations about the ethical implications of reality TV shows like Gold Rush, where stars are often pushed to their limits for the sake of drama and ratings. Some fans have expressed concern that the risks are simply too high, and that the show should take a more cautious approach to filming. As Parker starts to heal, the dangers he faced make him think deeply about what he should do next. Dark side of gold mining. Parker Schnabel's recent brush with death serves as a stark reminder of the inherent dangers of gold mining. While the thrill of the hunt and the promise of striking it rich may drive miners to take risks, the reality is that mining is one of the most dangerous professions in the world. Every day, miners face life-threatening challenges, from collapsing terrain to faulty machinery to extreme weather conditions. Gold mining is not just physically demanding, it's mentally and emotionally taxing as well. Miners work long hours in remote, isolated locations, often far from medical help or emergency services. The pressure to meet production goals, combined with the constant threat of accidents, creates an environment where the stakes are always high. For Parker Schnabel, the dangers of gold mining have always been part of the job. But the recent collapse has made him, and his fans, more acutely aware of just how unpredictable and dangerous the profession can be. No amount of experience or preparation can fully protect miners from the risks they face every day. Parker Schnabel, known for his work on Gold Rush, has been through a life-changing experience recently. An accident on the job left him with injuries that made him stop and think about his life, his career, and the risks he had been taking. Before the accident, Parker was always pushing himself and his crew to the limits, doing everything he could to find more gold. He was focused on big goals, and nothing seemed too dangerous if it meant reaching those goals. But now, after this terrifying event, Parker has started to see things differently. The accident, which could have easily cost Parker his life, made him think deeply about the risks he had been taking. Gold mining is a tough and risky business, and Parker had always known that. However, it wasn't until he found himself injured and looking back on what had happened that he truly understood the dangers. This realization has brought a shift in how he approaches both his life and his work. While he's still passionate about mining and finding gold, Parker now sees that some risks might not be worth taking, no matter how much gold could be at stake. In the months following the accident, Parker has reflected a lot on what matters most to him. His health, his life, and the people he cares about have become more important than ever. Before the accident, it was easy for him to focus all his energy on gold mining, but now he knows that there are other things in life that need his attention. This doesn't mean he's giving up on his dreams of being a successful miner, but it does mean he's going to approach those dreams with more caution and care. Parker has learned that being smarter about how he goes after his goals is just as important as the goals themselves. Even though Parker has changed in many ways, the future remains uncertain. There are a lot of questions about what he will do next. Will he continue to push himself and his crew as hard as before, or will he take a step back and focus on staying safe? The accident has definitely made him think more about the choices he makes, but only time will tell if he decides to slow down or keep pushing for bigger and better results. Whatever he chooses, it's clear that Parker is a determined person. He has always found a way to get through tough times, and this latest challenge is no different. Fans of Gold Rush are watching closely to see what Parker's next move will be. They've seen him face difficult challenges before, but this time, things feel different. The accident wasn't just a bump in the road. It was a moment that changed everything. Will Parker go back to his old ways of taking big risks to get big rewards? Or will he choose a safer, more careful approach to his work? These are questions that only Parker can answer, and fans will have to wait and see what happens next. Is Parker Schnabel's latest danger just part of the risks of gold mining, or is there something more going on behind the scenes? Let us know your thoughts, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more.